what was the last name? Hi guys, my name is Nikki, aka the Dragon Queen, and today I am here with my wrap-up of BookNet Fest this Saturday. Guys, it was fantastic. Ann-Eliza and Samantha did a phenomenal job of creating this, especially in the amount of time that it took them to create this. They did an epic job. It was small, but it was homey. It felt like you were back with your family, even the long distance relatives you've never seen before. You've just felt welcomed and accepted and open to talk to whomever you wanted, whenever you wanted. So, for those who don't know what BookNet Fest was, this was the first annual BookNet Fest created by My Name is Ann-Eliza and Thoughts on Tomes, I believe is their usernames. I will put them down below. They created it and it was hosted in Orlando, Florida, which thankfully is an hour and a half away from me. Only 250 people got to go, but it was free to attend, and it was a very small convention because it was the first year. But most of what was part of BookNet Fest was the panels and just talking to people that are also in similar shoes. Now you could attend, anybody could attend. A lot of the people who did attend are BookTubers, book Twitterers, Bookstagram, non-creators who just like books, book bloggers. The biggest thing was we all love books, and that's why we were there. Overall, it started off, I left really early from the house. We left at 7:30. I went with my best friend, and I didn't get much video, but I will put some videos as snippets in here. And I was really nervous. I was so nervous to go because I only have 200 subscribers, and there were going to be these big YouTubers that have been doing BookTube forever, and everybody knows who they are on the BookTube community. And then it's little me. It's just I'm down here. So I was really nervous. The one thing that I think helped encourage me to open up a little bit was that I knew I would hate myself if I didn't say something to people that I wanted to say hi to. And also, I have been more active on Twitter in the book community and have gotten to know a couple of people through there. Even if it's through a tweet here or there, just supporting them or sharing their stuff or saying hi or hoping they're okay. It's been tremendous to get into that community and to learn that we're not just people on the other side of a camera. They're not just people on the other side of the camera. We're all just as nervous, basically. Even the hosts were nervous, so it's like we are all, it's kind of funny because BookNet Fest is a bunch of people with social anxiety getting together to communicate with each other. So, yeah. Anyway, so it was in 2 rooms and a little area in the front. It was at the Carabe Royale Hotel Orlando, which was a gorgeous hotel. I did not stay there. We did leave that night. Or when I go next year, I think I will be staying at the hotel, only because it seems I missed out on a lot of opportunities to talk to people and talk to other creators Friday night and Saturday night. So I don't regret not going to, on the Friday they went to Harry Potter World. I don't regret not going there because I knew I would have been uncomfortable and hot, and I know I can go whenever, but I do regret not going Friday night to socialize with people. I didn't think about it because I'm used to conventions that are huge, and at huge conventions you don't really socialize with complete strangers. When it's only 250 people who all like the same thing, it's a little bit more accepted and wanted to socialize, especially for people who came from out of town. So I completely understand that, and now knowing that, next year I believe I will stay Friday night at least to hang out with people, and then I'll stay Saturday night so I can hang out for as long as I want, and then on Sunday I'll go home. Now, what they did was actually really good. They had 2 rooms, like I said, in each room at the same time on the hour, every hour from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. Except for a lunch break, there was 2 panels. So the first panel I attended was the book recommendations panel. In the other room was the Us versus the Industry, or Us and the Industry panel, which was hosted by Carmen and Mike. Now, I didn't attend that one. I attended the book recommendations panel. So in the book recommendations panel, there was 4 people, and I will put a link here. I believe I took a little video snippet. So in that panel, basically what happened was we would ask questions, and then the BookTube or the panelists would answer the questions with recommendations. And they were things like, what's your favorite book that's worth the hype? What's your favorite underrated book? Stuff like that. So we got a lot of suggestions from that, and it was a very nice range of people on the panel, because there were people who were doing YA, like Cam, she did YA, and she does a lot of diversity. There was Tom from SFF 180, and he does adult fiction, sci-fi, fantasy, stuff like that. So there was a little bit, and there were 2 other people. I can't remember their names off the top of my head. I will try to list them down in the description. But they all gave some great suggestions for their books that they wanted everybody to read. So I really appreciated that, and we wrote them all down. There was like 14 or 15 suggestions, which is insane if I do say so myself. So after that panel, which from 10 to 10:45ish was the keynote, where Marioness and Sam, they talked about what they were wanting from this and where it started from and how we got to the point we were at, and I really did enjoy that, and we got to ask questions and stuff like that. And then that one was from 11 until noon, and then at noon they had a on writing panel, which had Allison Maley and Katie Tastic, or Kat, and then the on reviewing panel, which had Sylwia from Wish Fulfillment. It also had 3 other people who I can't recall their name. I know one was Jessica, and I think Hardback Hoarder was another one, and there is a 4th one that I can't recall off the top of my head. So, in this video for on reviewing, it was about how to properly review, what is considered a spoiler, what is considered a critical review versus non-critical, and how critical isn't necessarily you hating on the author or hating in general. It could be a critical positive review, but like, I really enjoyed this book, but here were some things that I noticed. And one of the biggest things that stood out for me from this one is something that a lot of us don't necessarily know, but things like trigger warnings and sexuality are not spoilers. So that was one of the biggest takeaways from this. They wanted to emphasize, if someone is LGBTQIA, then say something, because people in that community want to know which books have someone like them, and they want to read those books. So don't say, oh, spoiler, they're gay. Just say, or there's a gay male in this book, or there's a bisexual female in this book, or whatever. Be open about it, because that's not a spoiler. Also, regarding trigger warnings, a lot of people are hesitant on trigger warnings because they can give away something in the book. For example, if somebody is raped in a book and that's a surprise, you're not expecting it, then yes, it might take away a little bit from that suspense, but what would happen if a viewer read that book because you suggested it and you didn't warn them that there was a rape in there, and they had that in their history, and now suddenly they go through flashbacks and they have to relive that. So putting a trigger warning that there is rape, that there is abuse, that there is violence of some kind, that there is harassment, whatever, those are important things that we need to discuss, because we need to let the reader know, hey, this is what you're getting into. If that's not something you can handle, please do not read this. We don't need to worry about spoiling the book. You'll still see all of that if you can read it. Because honestly, there have been books I've read that I had no idea going in what they were about, and I was not okay with it. Thankfully, this one didn't bother me as much, but I was uncomfortable reading Speak because there is rape in that book, but you don't know until the end of the book. So when I did my review on it, I believe I put in there that there was a trigger warning, but I didn't say why, because I didn't want to give it away. But that's the main purpose of that book. So to go into it thinking it might be something else and finding out it's rape and realizing everything come back to you, that's not okay. Like, I don't want that to happen to anybody who reads that book. So anywho, now for critical reviewing, what they were discussing was they were discussing that it's okay to think critically about the book, on whether representation is done right, on whether it's actually written well, and stuff like that. So you want to read a book and not just go with, oh, it's really good. Think about why it's good. Or you don't just want to say it's bad, you want to think about why it's bad. And some of the examples of this are books that we rant and rave about. Those books we had thought a little bit more critically of versus other books that we might not think too much of. Now, I know that I have a bad habit of just saying, I liked it, it was okay, or it was good, it was really good, it was interesting, and I need to break out of that habit and explain why I thought it was interesting, what was wrong with it that I didn't like, what was right with it that I did like, etc. So that's something I know I need to work on, but critical reviewing is not necessarily the only way to review. I personally will do critical reviewing for books that I have a strong opinion on, like IQ or 1Q84, but I might not do them on books that I don't really have an opinion on, like other books I've read. I can't think of one right now. So after that was I took a break, but there was the For the Love of YA and the Creating in Fandom panels. I didn't go to those ones. I decided to take a break and go talk to a author who was there. I will list the picture of the book. The author was very nice. They answer questions about the book. I got a free ebook copy of the book, so I will review that hopefully soon and let you guys know what I think about it. And then there was a lunch break. We had just eaten during that 1 o'clock time, so at 2 we took a lunch break. We hung out a little bit with, was it then? Yeah, we hung out a little bit at this time with random people, and I talked to a few people. It was hard to I can't remember names at all. I added a lot of people on Twitter, so I can't remember who I spoke to when, and I apologize for that. But I did get to speak to Wish Fulfillment, which was a very awesome conversation. She's super nice. And after lunch, we went to the 3 o'clock panel. At 3 o'clock, there was a game show in one room, and then there was a 101 in the other. And the 101 thing, I think I took the most out of. It was, each table had somebody who has been doing this for a while. So you had Jessie the reader at the booktubing table, Marianne at the blogging table, Zoe at an Instagram table, I think. Like, there was a different table for a bunch of different things. So I decided I was going to go to the booktubing table because that's what I do. I don't really participate in Instagram. I don't take pictures. I don't blog / vlog. I don't do my own logos. So I thought I would get the most out of that. So I went and go sit at the table, and there was like 10 or 11 other people at the table. And Jessie starts off with, "Who here has a booktube?" Okay, answer questions if you can too. And I'm like, wait, you have 200,000 subscribers. I have 200. He's like, yeah, answer any questions you can. Now, I thought that was really awesome. So I am the only other person at this table other than Jessie, the reader, who's like one of the top booktubers, subscriber-based wise, and he's asking me to provide my input from what I've learned too, which I thought was fantastic. And as more people joined, more booktubers joined, and he asked each and every one of us every question, our opinion on the matter too, what we do to handle things. So, and they were questions that people who aren't booktubers yet but have considered doing booktube and wanted to do booktube, or haven't just pushed themselves past that point, or haven't gotten past the initial I'm scared phase, which I've been there, believe me. My first video, I was terrified. But there are questions like, what kind of camera do you use? What kind of editing software do you use? What kind of lighting do you use? I had a question about how do you get topics, which I really enjoyed this one. It was watching other YouTube channels, not BookTube, but other YouTube channels, and try to make that related to books, which I thought was very clever. And it was just little things like that. How do you get yourself in the mood to record? Are you a forced recorder? Like, I have a schedule, I need to record today no matter what my emotions are. Or are you, okay, I'm in the mood, let's do this. Let's get this done. Like, that's how I am. And then there was also planning. Do you pre-plan? Do you outline? Do you script? Do you wing it? And a couple of them were like, I outline because I'll ramble. And as you can tell, I don't outline because I ramble. But I'm pretty sure if I outlined, I would just be like, well, that's stupid, and I'll just second guess myself, and then it'll never get done. Guys, I don't have the patience for that. But I think it was very rewarding to sit there and enjoy it and just learn and share and realize that I'm not alone in this. I'm not by myself in this community. There are other people in the community. There are newbies who have never recorded a video before, and they want advice from somebody who's done it. And it was strange to me to be considered somebody who's done it. But I've been doing this for a year now, almost. No, it hasn't been a year? It's been a year. I mean, counting breaks, I'm assuming. But it's been almost a year, or over a year since I started. And that's crazy. That is absolutely insane for me. And then Jessie was really nice, and we took a selfie together, so I'll post that picture here. But that was phenomenal. After that, I believe, okay, so after that was, the next two panels was Romance, Sex, and OTPs, or YA is Not the Only Fiction. We ended up going to the Romance, Sex, and OTPs. I did really want to go to both, but we chose that one because my friend wanted to go to that one too. So that one was more about how to incorporate romance, what is smut versus erotica, and stuff like that. And there's a lot of good insight from Sarah Viemann, Jessica, and there was another author there. Sarah Viemann provided a lot of, I thought it was very interesting that she is asexual and she writes a lot of fan fiction. She called it smut. And it was interesting to hear that. And some of the quotes out of this panel were ridiculous. They will be Twitter worthy forever. It was insane. And the final panel was at 5 o'clock, and I really appreciate the way they did this. Instead of having two, they had one room, and it was one panel, and that is diversity in the book community. And this was hosted by a couple of people. We had Paige, who is on BookTube. I don't know her actual username, but she is a biracial booktuber. We also had Camila, who is on BookTwitter and also just started at BookTube. There was Thoughts on Tomes, or Sam from Thoughts on Tomes. She was there. She is a cancer survivor. Mary Ines was there as a Dominican, and Sarah Viemann was there as an asexual. Christina Marie was there, and she is a black booktuber, or African American booktuber. So we got insight, all of us, from these very broad range of diversity and diverse people, and it was actually really helpful. It was very helpful to learn what I, as a white female booktuber, can do to help encourage diversity and to help push people to include diversity. And we learned about some more about own voices. We learned about how magical realism actually should only be used by Puerto Ricans, and we should use a different term, but I can't recall what the term is. Wish Fulfillment mentioned it in her latest video, so I will link to that video. I'm linking to a lot of things in this, but it was a lot, and it was also, we need to stand up, we need to speak out, we need to say something if we see something. And we need to make sure that more people aren't run off of BookTube because of who they truly are. If we can't be who we truly are, then who are we? Finally, after that, we did the mixer where we got prizes. I won a copy of Way of the Kings, I believe, by Brandon Sanderson, and my friend won a copy of Roar. And then after that, we got to sit down and just chit-chat, and I had a very long and wonderful conversation with Sylwia from Wish Fulfillment, and a couple other booktubers joined us, and I wish I could have stayed forever and just kept talking, but I had to drive home. And honestly, overall, it was astonishing what the booktube community can do in such a little time with such a few amount of people. We were all welcomed. People actually recognized me, and that was strange as hell. Like, I was so confused. I got to talk to Hufflepuffle, who recognized me from our Twitter conversations. I got to talk to, like I said, Wish Fulfillment, who recognized me from our Twitter conversations. I had one or two people who noticed the skirt that I wore. They're like, "Oh, you're the one that made the skirt yesterday? I saw that on Twitter. That's awesome." Or there's one girl who lives like less than 30 minutes away from me. She's like, "I know you. Like, why do I know you?" But that's what was phenomenal. Like, so many people there were just open about, like, you might know me, you might not know me, but that's okay. Let's get to know each other now. And it was even to the point where, actually there's a funny part where this one girl, I overheard her say, "Yeah, it's really hard for me to just go up and say, 'Hi, nice to meet you, let's be friends.'" So when I heard that, I turned and I'm like, "Hi, nice to meet you, let's be friends." And she just started laughing, and then we followed each other on Twitter. So I follow like 100 people yesterday on Twitter. It's insane. And hopefully this just brings me closer to everything, and it helps me realize that this is exciting for me. This is amusing for me. I enjoy talking about books to my camera and using random hand motions and being weird and having my hair purple and doing all of the things that I can do. I don't care. It's all fun. It's all great. And the community makes it better. And now that I am here, and now that I've attended BookNet Fest, I can officially say that I feel like I am a part of the community. And I don't want to go anywhere. So, you're not getting rid of me now. Good job. Good job, BookTube. You're stuck with me forever. Anyway, my biggest goal is next year I would like to help with them planning everything. And if they need it, if they want it, I will be glad to help. And I want to see how much I can grow from here. I officially hit 200 subscribers the day or the morning after BookTube or BookNet Fest. 200 subscribers, guys. I did it. I'm in the big leagues now. I don't know what the big leagues are. I'm honestly astonished that it went that high. And I think I'm at 5,100 views, somewhere around there. So I want to know, in 1 year, at the next BookNet Fest, second annual BookNet Fest, how much I grow. And I'm going to try to remind myself to look back at this video and say, Nikki, this is where you were at. Where are you now? And hopefully I will be astonished. If you have any questions, I can try to answer them down below, or if you just want to reach out to me on Twitter, you feel free to DM me, like me, whatever. And like it if you like it, subscribe if you want to, and this is the Dragon Queen signing off.